So let's talk about signs, symbols, and synchronicities. What are they? Well, basically, these things are divine messages. So God, the divine intelligence, the supreme creator, is using the very fabric of reality to talk to us, to send us messages to help us on our path, to help us become more enlightened, to help us become the best versions of ourselves. And these messages can be oftentimes very large and substantial, but sometimes they can be very small and nuanced. So if you experience something very unusual, something that you don't normally see in daily life, right? Something very much out of your normal pattern of existence, that's very likely going to be a somewhat substantial message. Perhaps sending a big message which is trying to send you in a very new direction, wake you up to something that you really have been ignoring. But there's still going to be a lot of smaller messages as well. And they can be very mundane seeming. Just even something like dropping your keys or a little drip of water falling on your forehead, just overhearing a snippet of conversation, really quite literally anything. There's nothing that's out of bounds. God is going to use everything that you perceive in the fabric of reality to talk to you. And these smaller messages are usually more follow-up messages, right? Pertaining maybe to either less important things or really things that you have already discussed, right? So God will send you these big messages to kind of try and get you in this direction. And then there'll be often a lot of follow-up messages until you sort of get the picture. Because it can take time to really grow and evolve. And even to accept that this is what is happening, to realize that God is always with you, always paying attention to you, always trying to push you forward. Which is simultaneously somewhat overwhelming, but also quite comforting. And so these messages are not necessarily going to be answering your questions, right? You could go to get an oracle card reading or tarot card reading, and you might have a bunch of questions. But the messages that you're going to receive are the messages that you need to hear. It's not really about what you want to know. It's about what you need to know. And God is here to tell you that. Because the reason that this is happening is that we forget who we are, really, when we incarnate. We have this divine plan, this life plan that we've crafted with God that will help us get to the best and highest version of ourselves. But we're born and we forget that, and we sort of become this different version of ourselves, somewhat unintentionally. It's still a version of you, so it's not exactly like you're two different people, but it's not necessarily the version of you that's going to bring you the most happiness and success. And you can become very attached to this older version of you. And becoming your best self is very much about shedding and letting go, and even to a certain extent, sacrificing who you used to be. And that's not an easy thing to do, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest reasons that these signs and symbols and synchronicities are constantly happening. Because it can take a lot of support, and it can take a lot of time. Your evolution is not going to be a linear incline. It's going to be very up and down at times. We become very attached to these older versions of ourselves. We get attached to the happiness that we are familiar with. Even though the truth is there is a much better version of ourselves that will actually make us much happier. So that's why all this is happening. It's important to pay attention. And the more you become plugged into this, I promise you, it is quite literally happening all the time. Like I said, you can't always pay attention, and that's a good thing. That would be too much. But the messages are there. And there's always going to be more messages because we're always growing. And remember, God loves you very much. God has a lot of love and empathy for you. It's not an easy thing to forget who you are or what you meant to do and sort of become this one version, only to be told then guess what? You got to change, whether you like it or not. Thank you very much. I love you very much. God loves you very much. Many blessings. We'll see you soon.